Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of February 5th, 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. And it is this week right out of the gate. As we begin the week, we've got a very powerful, very notable full moon taking place in the sign of Leo. Now, Leo is, of course, the lion. It is a sign that is associated with understanding our own power, our own light, and being in that very light. Allowing it to shine forward is an act of great confidence. And allowing yourself to be yourself is an act of bravery, especially in certain contexts. Now, it isn't about being unwise in how it is that we express our truth, but rather to know that we are able to embrace ourselves, even if it's just for ourselves, is the very beginning of claiming the lion within. I, right now, may not look like it from the background, but if you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm in Egypt right now, and I came, of course, to see the pyramids. But as I went to the Great Pyramid of Giza, and as impressive and as amazing as that was, I have to say what really took my breath away was seeing the Sphinx, who guards the pyramids. Now, the pyramids ultimately are tombs, right? They are resting places for who the locals call the kings, the previous kings. We can say the pharaohs as well, who were thought to be embodiments of divine gods in Egyptian worldview, in Egyptian mythology as well. They were the embodiment, the human embodiment of these divine energies. And the sun god in particular, very important to this particular region that I am in right now, in Cairo and in Giza. Now, what is so interesting with this Sphinx is that it is seen as a symbol of protection. And it was there to protect the resting place of these gods, really, is how they were understood. Now, a Sphinx is a mythical creature that has the body of a lion, but the head of, or what appears to be a human. In some regions, the Sphinx also has wings as well, so is able to fly, but we don't necessarily see that in all regions. We don't necessarily see that in much of ancient Egypt. We see the body of a lion and the face of a human. And I was looking at this in the context of this full moon in Leo that we have as beginning this week, and how it is that this very creature speaks to how us as human beings strive to embody what ultimately we consider divine qualities, and to own our own light, to stand in that space of knowing that there is something within us that is worthy of shining, that is worthy of sharing, and to believe that we can do so, and while in the light, we will be safe to do so. Well, that's an act of bravery, yes, but it's also work that in some ways I think we are here to do. Each one of us in our own way is here to embrace that journey. Remember, we are all of these mythical creatures that human beings have conceptualized, or you could think of them as magical entities that we have been able to bring words to, but continue to exist in mythic realms. And it is these very energies that speak volumes to our understanding of what it is that we hope to cultivate within ourselves. Well, Energy like this, with this full moon, chances are in at least one area of life, all of us are being asked to summon courage, bravery, confidence, and truth in our own unique ways, and yet to do that in a way that we still have our humanness with us. And to be human, I think the best of what it is to be human is to also hold humility. You know, I remember watching an interview with Bette Midler way, way back in the day. And she said something in this interview that just is something that has stayed with me. She said that if you are going to be in the business that she is in, right, in show business, let's put it that way, she said, you have to know that you are the greatest, but at the same time, you need to know that you are not, and that you really are not. And I thought about that contrast and how they sit next to each other. And this is really when Leo energy is at its very best. And I do believe that the Sphinx in its own way does embody the very best of Leo energy. The human side of us stays humble. We know that ultimately, in a grand scheme, as part of the larger cosmic plan, history, and future, we are just one very quick speck. However, that doesn't mean that in the context of that brief moment that we may light up, that light can't also be a light of love that helps other people light up as well, to make the most of this very brief flash of a moment that is the human being's lifespan is set to have. And so here we are. We get this Leo full moon, and what characterizes it? Well, chances are there's some frustration, but there is also the opportunity, the invitation to be empowered as well. So the frustration, that has to do with the fact that Uranus is squaring this full moon. This is very notable. This is what is adding that element of us feeling like something's got to change. We're ready for a breakthrough, and we're feeling ourselves being encouraged to approve of ourselves, to be more independent, even if it's hard. We're being encouraged to summon the courage that it takes to be willing to be out there on our own. And within that, to stay connected to that very spirit of courage that the energy of Leo invites us to bring. But what we also have here is Mars speaking in harmony with this full moon as well. And I think that that energy is a great opportunity. That is energy of empowerment and the invitation to understand where we can take action in support of, in this case, how we can magnify Leo energy for ourselves and to those around us as well. How is it now that we can bring forward that sense of we are the greatest, and at the same time we know that we are not? Because that is when we are accessing the higher vibration of the energy of Leo, as is the invitation. Now, that is a process. That is a journey. That journey requires action. It's one thing to tell yourself something. It's another to embody it and actually live it. And you live it through your actions. And so it is this connection of Mars, what astrologers call a sextile, that we're encouraged to summon that very energy, that very strength. And yes, Mars as well symbolizes courage, to bring forward the courage to act from that place of healthy and balanced self-confidence and a connection to self-worth. Now, there is somewhat of a connection to Jupiter as well. And I say somewhat because it's kind of a wide orb, meaning that the conversation isn't as precise as it is, for example, with Uranus. That is a much tighter orb. That is quite a precise conversation. So the more precise the conversation between planets, the more dominant that energy is, the stronger that energy is. And so here we are, we have got Jupiter also speaking in trine in supreme harmony with this full moon. It doesn't have to be exact for us to still make the most of this time. Now, this is energy of hope and energy of the cultivation of meaningful healing and meaningful growth as well. Jupiter is the very essence of optimism. In the sign of Aries right now, it is the spark of enthusiasm. And so, where is it now that as a result of things feeling frustrating, or as a result of where it is that we are no longer going to settle for things being stagnant, that through our own action, we're able to turn the energy around. And turn it around, we absolutely can. And we turn it around in an instant in some cases when we feel that spark of enthusiasm and act from that place immediately. Well, that is when we start being able to tap into and transform the energy of this particular full moon. Now, earlier today, I had a chance to meet with an incredible person named Asha. So as I said, on social media, I've been sharing that I'm in Cairo right now. And she just reached out very spontaneously on social media and said, hey, I'm here too, let's connect. And we did. And she was just such an amazing person. And she said something to me, and it really made me think of this full moon energy in particular. She said, energy is a type of conversation. It is a type of communication that we have. And I thought about all the ways in which our energy and our energetic ability to be receptive when it feels right, but also be protective as well when that feels right. These are all ways in which we are sending specific types of messages, and those messages are communication. And I thought about how that very contrast of protection and exposure, of being able to be fierce and stand where you are, but also being willing to be vulnerable in the softness and sensitivity that is a great asset as well. That to me is embodied by the Sphinx as well. You know, when I did go to the pyramids, I just felt like I really wanted to just sit in front of the Sphinx for like a few hours. That's how I felt. That's what I wanted to do. And because I'm here for a little while longer, I am going to get around to doing that in one way or another. But having said that, as you're starting the week, if you are one of those people who is feeling tension, who is feeling frustration, who is feeling uncertainty, it really is okay. It means that you're on the precipice of the breakthrough that is being promised now by this very special full moon in the sign of Leo, encouraging you to tap into the power of your heart. And the heart truly is possibly the most powerful part of us. Symbolically, it is part of our understanding, our connection to everyone and everything, and the ways in which life can continue to move and strengthen and grow. Just like the heart helps your entire body get the oxygen that it needs, what oxygen is for you is going to depend on the phase of life that you're in, the moment that you're in. What is that thing that feels like it is life itself? Well, that is part of what we're tapping into now. And where it is that we've cut off some of that flow of what gives us life, what gives us juice, well, we'll no longer tolerate that anymore. And I think for some of us, some of our answers there will surprise us, if not shock us. And yet it's exactly the insight that we need so that we can have that breakthrough towards change, towards confidence, and a healthy dose of humility as well. Now, the other big news this week has to do with Mercury. It is Mercury that is very active this week. On Monday, Mercury will connect with Neptune in a harmonious conversation. And then on Tuesday, Mercury will leave shadow. So it's been about 2 months that we have been in a larger Mercury retrograde season. And this entire Mercury retrograde season has been with Mercury in the sign of Capricorn, inviting us to look at power and success and authority, who has it, who uses it, and who uses it well. It invites us to look at the success that is meaningful and that which is not. And so, as part of this larger Mercury retrograde season, Mercury has been in this ongoing dance with Neptune and Uranus as well, although the third and final connection between Mercury and Uranus has already taken place. It is this week in particular that, with this harmonious conversation with Neptune, I'm going to invite you to think back what was happening in the later part of December as Mercury slowed to a standstill, stood still in the sky, and then slowly began to go retrograde. And what was happening as this slow retrograde was kicking into gear in the early part of January? Well, it was over the course of that period of time that Mercury was hanging tight a harmonious conversation with Neptune. And so now here we are. The third and final connection that takes place in some way is going to speak to what was taking place in your life back then. Now, what was taking place? Well, that could speak volumes in terms of a question that might have come up. Now you start to sense the answer. And the answer may very well be faith. That is part of Neptunian energy. The answer may very well be to have hope, to allow yourself to be inspired, to awaken imagination and faith and spirituality, and to awaken your spirit itself. To see the events, particularly of the last 2 months, with an eye towards the lessons that have been playing out for you. How can you cultivate them now? How can you tap into them now that much more consciously? Where is it that you can take the frustrating energy of the full moon and ask yourself, what wisdom is playing out here at this moment? And how is this wisdom ultimately a continuation of a journey towards greater love and greater wisdom that you've been on, and in particular would have been connected to, awakened strongly at the end of December and as we headed into a brand new year as well? Now, as much as the end of the shadow period encourages us to wrap up loose ends of a larger Mercury retrograde season, I think that we're really going to make sense of this time and look at the truth of this time much more deeply once we navigate a little bit further. On Friday, Mercury will connect with Pluto in the sky for their annual meeting. The difference now, though, is that, of course, Pluto is in an anaretic degree of Capricorn, is at the very end of the sign of Capricorn now, gearing up to change signs next month. Really big deal, very big deal. I've been talking to you about this. I will continue to talk to you about this. We are going to have Pluto just step into the sign of Aquarius, however briefly. And yet this moment is big. In some ways, I do feel like Mercury connecting with Pluto is going to be an invitation to get really honest with ourselves, even if it's hard, as to what's been playing out in our lives for the last 2 months. What has felt like a hope or a wish, but also where it is that we just sort of went along for the ride, went along with the flow, expected the best, which is a beautiful thing. But where is it that we are now? Where do we actually stand? What have we gained? And where is it that perhaps with this energy in Capricorn in particular, have we bought into the illusion of power, the illusion of authority, rather than define it and find it for real within ourselves? Where it is that we allowed ourselves to get very caught up in fantasy, well, this is energy where that nitty gritty, actually seeing things as they are, can feel that much more stark, that much more challenging. But where it is that we root ourselves in healthy faith, well, then whatever truth needs to emerge will. And we will be grateful for it. And that much more quickly jump to that place of seeing the wisdom playing out now. Another thing, though, with Pluto conjunctions, I have to say the phrase, if it stays, let it. If it goes, let it. That may be part of the energy of transition that may find us as we move towards the end of the week. It will be on Saturday at the end of the week that Mercury will change signs. This is super exciting. Mercury will move into the sign of Aquarius, bringing lightness and ease and encouraging us to talk about more, not just intellectual things, which is part of air energy in general, and Aquarius is an air sign, but it also encourages us to have a depth of perception into new ideas. What's next? What's exciting about it? I have lots of fascinating people around me. I told you in the video I did on Jupiter and Chiron about my very dear friend who lives in Madrid. And my friend is a professor. And I remember when we were in graduate school together, he did his doctoral work on AI. And that is a huge topic right about now, and all the potential that AI holds. Well, my friend was having this incredible conversation with me about the potential and the pitfalls and how it is that the technology is evolving so fast, and more industries are being encouraged to take on AI more and more. And it is dramatically changing what we need from the workforce. And it seems that people may not be able to keep up at the same rate that the technology is being incorporated. The artificial intelligence technology is being incorporated at that. And I thought that this was so fascinating on so many levels to consider. Can artificial intelligence be conscious? Well, from his perspective, a scientific perspective, we don't really know what consciousness is. But us here, in our spiritual perspective, do have an understanding of consciousness. We look at the ancient teachers. Consciousness is ultimately awareness. It's being aware of ourselves, of our true motivations, of who we are. Being aware of others, yes, can be a part of it as well. But two, with full awareness, choose a path that is more loving, more wise, is how you use consciousness and raise consciousness from a spiritual perspective. But according to my friend, from a scientific perspective, if we're looking to AI to actually be part of replicating consciousness that grows, that evolves, well, that may be asking a little too much of machines. Now, I thought this was fascinating, such an interesting conversation. And I got to tell you, it's like we were just ahead of the curve, because these are the types of conversations that I think a lot of us are going to be having. And I think on the level of the collective, a lot of us are going to start having this conversation as well. But remember, we're at the very beginning. Once we move further into next month and Pluto steps into Aquarius, it is going to take on a whole other level of depth, of insight. And it is going to ask for even more understanding, but also it's going to ask for us to really accept that these big societal changes, well, we are on the precipice of them. This is where we're understanding it intellectually. We are going to feel it very profoundly, right to our bones, very soon, once we have Pluto moving into Aquarius next week. And so enjoy this time with Mercury. There can be a sense of lightness and healthy detachment that allows us to engage ideas like this. And yet, it is these very ideas that we are going to be looking at with that much more searing honesty very soon, once Pluto moves into Aquarius next month. Now, the other big energy I wanted to talk about this week has to do with Venus and Uranus speaking in harmony. I love this energy for us. If you think back the last couple of weeks, Venus has been having some pretty heavy-duty conversations in the sky with other power players. Last week, it was Venus square Mars, not necessarily the easiest energy. A couple of weeks before then, we had Venus meeting Saturn. So again, this heavy-duty energy. Well, now this is really where things switch up very quickly, and in some cases in an instant, in a way that I think a lot of us are going to love. This to me is energy of romantic surprises that go exceptionally well, that change our hearts, open our hearts, and help us and invite us to see and recognize beauty in the unusual, in the different, in our own expression of our own unique selves. Now, whereas sometimes the energies are not very good to experimentation, where it comes to the celebration of your unique beauty, this energy is different. This is a good time to engage in whatever it is that you feel touches on something new or something different, whether that's getting a different style of clothes in a different way, whether that has to do with trying out a very different hairstyle, or, you know, if you're not someone who's normally inclined towards tattoos, getting that tattoo, well, I have to say, chances are you'll like the results better than you might otherwise with this supportive Venus-Uranus energy. Now, this to me can also represent very quick moving, light, flirtatious events, even though Venus is in the sign of Pisces, and that is not light energy at all, but rather this is energy that can feel elated. It can feel excited. It is energy that, on the one hand, has the desire to merge with another person very deeply, to dive into another person very deeply, and at the same time, because of that Uranian connection, is able to stay anchored enough in how different this feels, how wacky this is, so that we don't completely lose ourselves in a moment that could take us by surprise, but also delight in how quickly it is that we become aware that we have options available to us in the context of love. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I have got to say that full moon in Leo is a very big deal. That full moon in Leo is the star of the show in key ways now. And it is that full moon in Leo that is going to awaken the Sphinx within, I have to say. Well, the healthy expression of it will. That mix of confidence and presence and power as embodied by the lion, but also the humility and the humanity of the face of a human being, but still a pharaoh, still an embodiment of the divine here on earth. These myths are us. They are who we are. They are whom it is that we've understood ourselves to be in the documented history of humanity, and even before. These myths are an expression of whom it is that we are. Sometimes they are aspirational, of course, but very often they express some truth that we know about where it is that we can be our very best, how it is that we can continue to learn and to grow. And in this case, with this particular full moon, we are being encouraged to awaken the lion within, to approach an area of life with greater confidence, greater courage, but at the same time, remember that human beings are at our very best when we stay humble. That is a stance of great strength as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so very grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month. Would choose your membership rate. Now, higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University is elated to present. This is a big one. We have got an incredible speaker series coming up in March 2023. And we truly are welcoming a massive, very big dog, one of the biggest dogs in astrology alive today. living legend, the one and only Stephen Forrest. Now, Stephen has been kind and generous enough to offer us a video of a previous talk that he did on the grace in debility. And so debility is basically an understanding of planets not being strong in certain signs. And whereas traditionally this is thought to be so bad and really, really not good, and oh my God, what are you going to do? Of course, Stephen Forrest, with his love, with his wisdom, is going to encourage us to see these placements very differently. Now, whether or not you specifically have these placements, a particular planet in debility or not, you'll be able to use this information to your advantage. And really, it's going to encourage you to think astrologically, to think about how it is and where it is as well, that certain things in a chart which could be interpreted in a way that maybe could have you saying, oh no, I wish that wasn't in my chart. Well, how is it that you could see it differently? How is it that that energy could empower you? That is one of the great gifts of Stephen Forrest and how it is that he presents astrology in his many books and in all the ways in which he reaches people. This is a very special speaker series. We are going to have a watch party of one of Stephen Forrest's previous talk. And yes, it is still choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from the one and only Stephen Forrest. And get this, you also get a chance to hear some incredible speakers as well who will be joining us. Maria De Simone will be sharing predictive techniques. Of course, this is part of our tradition in astrology, is prediction. And you may actually know Maria because she has such a strong YouTube presence. And actually, we kind of came up around the same time. So she's been doing this for a while. And she is such a brilliant astrologer. And so, yes, learn some predictive techniques with her. Linda Kubota Bird is going to be teaching us how to tap into your chart consciously. So instead of looking at your chart and saying, oh, I've got this in my chart. Oh, I'm destined for it to be like this. Oh, I wish that wasn't there. Seems like a running theme. Well, look, she's going to teach us to tap into it consciously so that we can use it as a position of power to learn about ourselves, to grow, to expand, and so much more. You know, I think about how the chart being used to raise consciousness, that's one thing as well, but used as a tool to empower ourselves, used as a tool to understand ourselves and thereby understand how to best use these ultimately gifts that are in our chart. Well, it is going to be Linda that's going to explore how it is that you can do that in your own chart. And then we will have Nadiya Shah. Yes, I am back. I am back at Synchronicity University. It's been about a year since I taught a class at my own school, so I'm so happy to be back. And I am going to be giving a first look at Neptune in Aries. Neptune will dip into the sign of Aries in 2025. So I know we've got a little bit of time, but you and I both know you blink and we will be there, right? Just like with Pluto and Aquarius, we are just about here. And so this energy is going to be huge because wherever Neptune goes, it redefines spirituality and how it is that we go about searching for spiritual connection and spiritual meaning. Now, we've had Neptune in the sign of Pisces, and this has been part of the explosion of astrology that's been taking place in how it is that more of us want to feel connected to everyone and everything. But what happens when this spiritual energy becomes more oriented towards the individual, the self, the will, your own spark, your own fire? Well, that's what we'll be exploring here. And also we'll be looking at Neptune through the houses of your chart as well. So as Neptune moves into the sign of Aries, what is that going to mean for you, depending on your rising sign or even your sun sign or moon sign as well? I'm going to give you some key things to take away so that you better understand how to tap into this upcoming energy, what you have to look forward to, how you can make the most of it. You know, I'm very big picture. So this is part of the big picture that we will be exploring together. And then we will close the March 2022 3 speaker series with my friend, Omari Martin. Now, Omari is a big dog in astrology for sure. He's a big dog over at Kepler College, where I teach once a year in the summer. And Omari is just a wonderful astrologer with such a commitment to astrology. He's going to be teaching about the astrology of career and work and money. This is called vocational astrology. He's the perfect person to teach this, and he's going to invite us to explore what ideal career, work, and money. Well, what is the ideal for you? What could that look like for you? Well, he's going to be exploring that and so much more in his talk. And so for a very limited time, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from this caliber of astrologer, including the very big dog astrologer, Stephen Forrest. I will be there hosting the watch party. We are going to watch his class together, and we will discuss it together and learn from the great Stephen Forrest, but also these other great astrologers as well. I'm really looking forward to celebrating them all with you. You can learn more and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. Synchronicity University presents my very dear friend, Michael Barwick, the one and only Michael Barwick. He is teaching a 5-part class on love. Love is what he's going to be talking about. Understanding love in the chart, synastry, the way the charts speak to each other between you and someone else that you love or you hope to love, and also composite charts as well. So this is touching on big ways to understand the relationships in your life with a lens towards understanding romantic relationships. What a perfect class to sign up for in the month of February, after all. But yes, this is a 5-part course starting in March. I did post an incredible interview that I did with Michael Barwick very recently. And in this interview, he actually goes through an understanding of how love is expressed through each of the 12 houses. So you really get to understand how you can tap into these energies, whether you're looking at love-oriented planets through the houses or just your own journey, how it is that you understand yourself, how it is that all these different areas of life are a part of love expression. Well, you'll get to learn that just by watching the video here on my YouTube channel. And yeah, if you check out his class for a very, very limited time, we've got about 3 weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class to learn from one of our more popular teachers, the one and only Michael Barwick. Students love Michael Barwick. He is so amazing. Because of the way he teaches, he comes absolutely prepared with depth, with insight, with charts, with samples and everything. You come away a better, more knowledgeable astrologer. And in this case, you come away understanding how to read relationships with astrology with that much more depth as well for you or for other people or people you may come to know in the future, people you might want to date in the future, or people that you've been with for a really long time. All of that, understanding those relationships astrologically, symbolically, that is what this class is about for sure. It'll help you to illuminate where you are in love and why and how you feel about it, and in the context of particular relationships, past, present, and yeah, prepare for the future as well. With the one and only Michael Barwick. Again, we have a very limited time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class. You can learn more and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the return of my incredible friend, Armand DIAZ. We can call him Dr. Armand DIAZ. He is an incredibly accomplished astrologer with this loyal, massive following. I mean, people love him. I know I love his book. He has this amazing book called Separating Aspects, Understanding the Astrology of Breakups. Well, that's a whole other way of exploring relationships and love. But in this particular class, he's going to bring those skills to prediction. It is a 5-part course just looking at prediction, how to go about it, how to make it happen. Again, honoring the tradition of astrology. As much as we can use astrology and work with it and tap into it for our own self-knowledge to raise our consciousness, which are all beautiful, beautiful things to do. At the same time, we do have this part of our tradition that has to do with prediction as well. and to understand and ascertain what could be ahead. And so it is going to be the one and only very accomplished astrologer, my friend ARMAND DIAZ, who is going to be at Synchronicity University teaching this 5-part course for a very limited time. You can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from ARMAND DIAZ. Really, I don't think he ever teaches at that rate, but here we are. You get to learn from him for as low as just $5 a class, 5 classes on prediction. Limited time left to choose that tuition rate. You can learn a whole lot more about this course and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for joining me on all these different journeys that I take and will take. I love bringing you guys along with me. I know, like I said, you can't tell, but yes, I'm in Cairo. If you are in Cairo, if you are in Egypt and you'd like to connect, reach out. I love meeting friends and fans when I am on the road. And I am forever grateful for the great blessing that is really anywhere I go in the world. There are people there who want to bring love to that moment, who want to meet me and greet me. And it is such a privilege. And I thank you. Thank you to everybody who has done that in the past. And of course, who will do that as well. Anywhere I go, if you are there, feel free to reach out. I love connecting with friends and fans out there. And yes, I am in Cairo. This is very exciting. First time ever. And it really is very special here as well. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.